Welcome back to Main Street Living. Now, this time of year, guys, reminds me of traditions and just classics like pumpkin pie, just all of the classics, you know?
Ooh, how about a classic car? In fact,
Yeah, you knew where I was going, Cheryl.
Yeah, like say in 1976, Pontiac Trans Am, get your wheels spinning. Listen up. Our next guest is lucky enough to see cars like this all the time. Rick DeBruhl joins us now with a timely story about a veteran and his car restoration. Welcome to Main Street Living, Rick. Good to see you.
Oh, thanks. Pleasure to be here.
So tell us about this story, because I know cars mean a lot to you. I can see them all behind you on your shelves.
Yeah, I was one of those car geeks when I was a kid. I spent way too much time with, car magazines, and I took 2 hours of auto shop in high school every day, and actually worked my way through college as a mechanic. But I managed to figure out how to get paid for cars over the years. I've worked covering racing for TV networks like ESPN and NBC, and do the Barrett-Jackson auctions for the A&E networks. And one of my other jobs is I'm a correspondent for the Cox show Driven, which is all about car stories. We don't do car reviews. It's not technical. It's all about fun car stories about interesting car people. And one of them that we did just recently involves he's an Air Force veteran by the name of Joe Barthule, who has a very amazing story about the car that he first owned. It was a 1976 Pontiac Trans Am, but not just any Pontiac Trans Am. In this case, this was called a 50th anniversary special. It was the 50th anniversary of Pontiac back in 1976. When he was a kid, he saw an ad for this car, and he just was so mesmerized by it. He thought, one day I really want to own that car. So, life goes along. He's in the Air Force. He's stationed out at Luke Air Force Base in Arizona. And one day he's driving along and he sees this exact car sitting in one of the parking lots where the pilots hang out. And there's a for sale sign on the car itself. And he's thinking, this is it. The moment I've been waiting for, the chance to buy this car.
When will we actually see this story on Driven? Because like the way you tell it, I can listen to it like a journal.
I know you're a good storyteller.
It's in the next episode of Driven that's going to be on the Cox YourView system very shortly. So it'll be out there, and then of course we'll have it on social media as well. So he ends up buying this car. It becomes their family car. He's got 3 kids. They use it for vacations, all kinds of stuff. He's still in the military. He gets transferred to Korea, and he can't take the car with him. And then from there, he gets transferred someplace else. And so he ends up putting his car at his father-in-law's property out in a little place called Tolleson, way on the edge of the Phoenix area, literally next to a barn in the hot Arizona sun. And it just sits there and bakes for 20 years. Difficult part of this story is he ends up getting cancer. He gets colon cancer. And so about a year or so ago, they approached an automotive shop here in town, Blackwell Automotive, and they said, hey, would you be interested? Could you possibly restore this car for us? And the guy said, yeah, I can do that easily. It'll take probably, get this, 24 months because it was in such bad shape.
Whoa.
2 years. Yeah. And a little bit of money, of course. And so Joe is downhearted, and he's like, okay, well, I'm not sure how much time I've got, but he walks away. His cancer they start to have some problems. The chemo isn't working right. And they begin to realize his time is limited. And so his wife, Jackie, who's a wonderful woman, contacts Blackwell Automotive last Thanksgiving and says, is there any way we could move this up? And Tom Blackwell, who owns Blackwell Automotive, said, once he heard the story, he's like, I've got to do this. There's just no way I can't do it. So instead of a 24-month restoration, they start to cram it into a year. Now you think, well, how hard can it be to restore a car?
Right.
But there's all these elements, the paint, the body, the engine, everything. And this car, remember, it sat around for 20 years. It had rusted, degraded. It was in a horrible condition.
This is crazy. And we're almost out of time here, so I want to make sure we hear the end of the story.
Okay, so bottom line is Tom Blackwell manages to get all the people together that have to do the job. Guys doing the interior, guys doing the engine, his guys at his shop. They put it together and do an amazing restoration job. And 2 weeks ago, we were able to see the reveal of the car where Joe and his wife and his family came out. And for the first time since that car had been dragged away, they saw it, and it looked, according to Joe, better than the day it was built, better than the day he got it. It was in such perfect condition. And Joe, whose health isn't that great, got to go out and drive that car again. And I'll tell you, when he pulled out of the parking lot onto the street, because they had hopped up the engine a little bit, give it a little more horsepower, he put his foot into it, burned those tires. You could hear him squealing all the way down the street. It was an amazing moment.
No, that's an amazing, that's a
Yeah.
very amazing story. And, you know, Rick, people can find out more with Driven. It comes on Sundays and it airs on YouView at 8 p.m. So thank you so much for that story. Thank you so much for stopping by. We can't wait to see
Thank you. Love that.
Well, once again, I could tell car stories all day long. And this one, I've done a ton of car stories. This was truly special.
So was the segment. Thank you for sharing that story with us there, Rick.
Thanks.
All right, guys. We'll have more Main Street Living after this.